All right, welcome to week number 1. Matt Morris here, and excited to be kicking off the Foundation for Network Marketing Success. And as we get into the content here, I'm going to start out with a warning. And the warning is to take this as seriously as I have. And here's the thing. I know a lot of times we want what's sexy. And what's sexy is the how-tos. You know, it's the scripts, it's the closing skills, the invitation, and presenting, all of those things. And listen, I'm going to give you no shortage of how-tos in this course. You're going to get a lot of that. But if we don't start out with the foundation, if I don't get into your mind, if I don't get into who you are as a person, I'm really doing a disservice to you. And so, listen, the how-tos are never enough. It's all about the inner game. If how-tos were enough, we'd all be rich, skinny, and happy. So it is less about the how-tos, and it's really more about who you are as a person when it comes to becoming a millionaire in network marketing. And I'll just tell you, for me, becoming a millionaire in network marketing, if I look at what I had to do in order to make that happen, you know, the how-tos of it, the how-tos were really not that difficult. The most difficult thing by far was believing it could happen to me. I had to become the kind of person who could earn $1 million before I could ever have the check. And that's going to be true for you. You have to become a millionaire before you're ever going to get the money. You've got to become the top rank in your company before you ever get the pin. See, it's never about, you know, once I have the results, then I'll become the person. You have to become the person first before you'll ever have the results. It's kind of like when I meet people and they say, man, you know, if I only had my dream spouse, then I'd be happy. Listen, chances are your dream spouse, they already want someone who is already happy. So become happy so you can attract that person. And this is all about foundation. And here's a quote that I want you to write down. I want you to never forget this the rest of your career in network marketing. But that is to build a really tall building, you have to dig a really deep foundation. And I'll tell you, my foundation phase was a lot longer than I wanted. It was over 5 years before I got to a full-time income. But what happened along that journey, I have to look back at it now and I have to be grateful, because I know if I hadn't gone through that struggle, if I didn't spend so much time working on myself through personal development, through reading books, through going to seminars, through all of the things that I did, I don't think I'd end up having the kind of success that I have had today. And I am kind of a simple guy. I like to break it down to basics. And so the formula for success is pretty simple. Your success and your wealth is going to be equal to your financial vehicle multiplied by your effort, multiplied by your skill. And so, I believe the financial vehicle of network marketing is the greatest financial vehicle in the world. There's no other profession in the world that allows you to make the kind of money that you can make, have the kind of time freedom, and being able to spend your life just helping other people. And so you are in the right profession. Then it boils down to your effort and your skill. And we're going to talk more about the financial vehicle of network marketing in another module. We're going to talk about effort. I'm going to go through the numbers of what you'll have to go through, in my opinion, if you want to go out and produce $1 million results. And then the final thing is skill. And I just commend you. I applaud you for investing in this program, in this 7-week coaching program, because it is going to put you in the top 1% of 1% of all network marketers in the world. You are going to be part of the elite of the elite. So do not sell yourself short and skip out on any of the lessons. Do not skip out on any of the modules, because, at the end, I'm going to give you marching orders that are going to create tangible results for you, in my opinion. And if you skip the modules, if you skip this foundation building phase, it is not going to work for you like you really want it to. And so as I go through this, again, it may not be the sexiest thing in the world, but in my opinion, it is the most important. And what I want to jump into here is the lifestyle success formula, and it really kind of boiling down what to expect. Now, I have actually, I owned my own network marketing company for almost 5 years, and I ended up hiring a retention firm. And what they do is they go out and they've surveyed thousands and thousands of people who have quit network marketing. And the number one reason why people quit network marketing is because of false expectations. You know, they expected it to be easy, and when it wasn't easy like they expected, they quit. They gave up. And this is a career plan. In fact, I think I heard this from Eric Worre the first time, but it's the 1357 career plan, which basically says if you're new to network marketing, it's going to take you about a year to just figure out what you're doing. It's going to take you a year to become competent. And what this course is all about, it's about shortening and lessening the learning curve. It's about collapsing these time frames. But for the average person, it takes about a year just to figure it out. It takes about 3 to 5 years to get to a full-time income. It takes about 5 to 7 years to get to a 6 to multiple 6 figures per year. And it takes about 7 to 10 years to become world class. And, you know, these numbers, obviously there is no guarantee. If I look at my background in network marketing, after a year, I probably was not real competent. It took me about little over 5 years to get full time. Now, I got started at 18 and I had a lot of growth that I needed to go through. But what happened was between 5 to 7 years, I got to a multiple 6-figure-a-year income. And then within 7 to 10 years, I really felt like I was world class. Like I could just, if I had to start from scratch and do it all over again, I could do that. And a quick note here, this plan works only if you really show up. If you are, number one, learning, if you're putting in the effort, if you're attending events, if you're doing all the things necessary, you know, these are some of the numbers that I think you should expect. Now, if you believe you can do it a lot sooner, let's go for it. There's no reason why it has to take this long, but what I'm saying essentially is sometimes you have to be a little bit patient with yourself. And so, you know, this is a quick visual of really what people expect success in network marketing to look like. It's like I get in, I'm going to produce some activity, I'm going to get instant results, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be living this amazing lifestyle. And those of you, if you've been in network marketing for any amount of time, you realize it may not, you know, exactly work exactly this way. And here's a quick visual that, again, the first couple sections here, Eric Worre actually drew this out for me. And he said what success in network marketing actually looks like is more like this. And you can see the curve there of activity leading to results, leading to lifestyles. And what it really all boils down to is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And it's one thing to look at this and understand it logically, but here's where the challenge is. If you look at that first area on the left where the activity is, it just doesn't seem to matter. You know, you're putting in all of this effort and you're not reaping the benefits. And it's one of the things that's true in network marketing, like is true in traditional business. If you're starting a business, there's usually some time that you have to put in before you turn a profit. And, you know, the average business, you're looking at 2 to 5 years before you turn a profit. In network marketing, you know, people are upset if they don't turn a profit their first week. And so, you know, that's the challenge. It's like I'm doing all this work, and I'm not getting paid. And if you carry through with the program, you notice the growth curve all of a sudden kind of goes way up, doesn't it? And it's that consistent effort over time. Now, if you look at the formula for failure, it's a few errors in judgment repeated every day. And again, it doesn't really seem to matter. If you're, you know, you start off making a few errors in judgment, it doesn't seem to matter. It's kind of like with your body. If you're eating a greasy, fattening cheeseburger and you do that, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, it doesn't really seem to matter. It's not like you've put on a bunch of weight, but if you consistently do that every single day, if you're eating, you know, greasy cheeseburgers and chocolate bars and fattening foods, you do that consistently over time, and that is going to lead to negative results in your body. And kind of like success with working out. You know, you go to the gym and it's like, man, I worked out really hard today. How come I don't have a six-pack abs? How come I don't have 5% body fat? Well, it's simple disciplines that you've got to practice every day if you want to have the results. And so here's what I'm going to encourage you to have is really get into entrepreneurial thinking. See, the average person, the reason why they live average lives is because they expect to trade hours for dollars. You know, I work 40 hours and I make 40 hours worth of income. And in network marketing, what happens, it's kind of like this. It's work, get paid. And then work, get paid. My buddy Eric Gersbowski says it best. And he says if you just continually keep going, it gets to the point where you go into a situation where you go work, get paid. 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 Get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid. Work, get paid, get paid, get paid. That's the way it works in network marketing, but you've got to put in the time when it doesn't seem to matter. And it seems like in the beginning, you're putting in so much effort, but you're not getting any rewards. Well, it all switches and it gets to the point where when you have a large organization, you're making so much income whether you work or not. It's that residual aspect. And so I just want to give you hope. If you've been struggling, this is really what it was like for me. You know, I worked and worked and worked, and it was like, when is it all going to come together? And I just kept working on myself. I kept working on my skills. I kept going to seminars. I kept reading books. I kept listening to audios. And then all of a sudden it came together and the lifestyle all of a sudden just unfolded. Now on the next slide here, this is what success in network marketing feels like. And sometimes this is kind of like your group or your income is you get started and maybe it takes you a little while to have some results, but then you have some results and then it goes down. You know, it's like I built a group to 20 people and then it went down to 10, or maybe you build a group to 100 people and it goes down to 60. And this is the valley of death for most network marketers. This is what takes most people out of the game. Well, actually, most people never even get started. But for those that do get started, it's this valley that takes them out. And the way I look at it is I wanted someone to tell it to me straight. And I'm going to tell it to you straight. There's going to be a challenge. I've never seen anyone go straight up. Every $1 million, multi-million-dollar earner I've ever met and know in network marketing, they've gone through this valley. They've gone backwards before they went up. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. You know, if you saw any of my videos when I was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, you know, we'd go up. One day we went up to 15,000 feet, and then we went all the way back down to 13,000 feet. We basically finished the day at about the same elevation that we started at. And it's like I went all day, went up, and then we had to go all the way back down. Well, listen, sometimes to get to the top of the mountain, you have to go down for a period of time before you can climb back up. And so I want you to just realize if you're going through a valley, sometimes you just have to expect that. It is part of the game. The key is to keep going. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper here. And if we go back to, you know, the original chart here, the success failure chart, you've got your activity leads to results and your results lead to the lifestyle. So the lifestyle comes from results and the results come from activity. And this is what most people focus on. They only focus on the activity. And what happens is when you just focus on the activity, if you don't have the motivation to go out and produce results, if the phone weighs 800 pounds and you just feel like you can't pick it up, you can't force yourself or you can't will yourself to go do the activity, then you got to go a little bit deeper. And I'm speaking to you from personal experience. This is how I lived my life the first few years. It was like, why will I not go make the calls? Why will I not go meet people? And I would just try and force myself to do it. I'd say, all right, I'm going to go to the mall, and I'm not going to leave the mall until I get 5 phone numbers. And I'd walk around for 3 hours, and I'd get no phone numbers. And I had to go deeper than just looking at the activity. I just couldn't seem to get myself to will myself to do it. And so on the next chart here, what you notice is activity is actually the fourth. when it comes to, the success formula here. See, activity comes from feelings. Call that motivation. If you're motivated to make the calls, you're more likely to make the calls. If you're motivated to go to the gym, you'll go to the gym. But if you don't have the proper motivation, you're not going to do the activities. So where does the feeling and the motivation? That comes from your belief system. Your belief about who you are, your capabilities, your confidence, your belief about other people, your belief about network marketing. See, everything, really kind of rises and falls based on your beliefs. And where do your beliefs come from? Your beliefs come from your programming. And so I'm going to break down kind of a lot of the science of the human mind here. And this is something that I think you absolutely want to take notes on. You want to understand this formula, because over the years in network marketing, you're going to have so many people that come to you and they're struggling. And I know for me, for many, many years, I felt like almost a bad leader, because someone would come to me and they'd say, I'm doing the right scripts, I'm making the right calls, I'm saying the right things, but I just can't seem to produce results. And what I would do is I would try and go through and try and, tweak their script and, have them follow a different system. And what I finally realized, and this is when my ability to coach others really skyrocketed, is when I realized it's not about the how-tos, it's about them as a person. See, I started creating results even though I didn't really understand this. It's because I spent so long working on my foundation. I spent so long working and correcting my belief system. I started having results, but I didn't realize other people were broken like I was. And so what I started doing as a coach, to other people, was really showing people how to change their belief system, change who they are, how to reprogram themselves, and how to, in a way, you could call it brainwashing. Am I saying you have to brainwash people? In a way, yes. Their minds are dirty. Your mind is, needs some cleanup in some cases. And so we've got to focus on the programming. That is the root of everything, is the programming. So let's get into, how you're programmed. And so there's three main ways that you have been programmed. And again, this programming leads to your belief. The beliefs lead to everything else. And so the first way is flat out your experiences. So maybe your success and failure. So maybe you've been involved in network marketing for a number of years, and maybe you've failed in the past. And what most people would tend to believe is that if they've failed in the past, they're not a good network marketer. Maybe you've been in network marketing for 5 or 6 years like I was, and you still haven't, hit the home run. You still haven't gotten to a full-time income, and that could lead you to just look bad upon yourself and say, you know what, I'm not a good network marketer. And you could also look at childhood circumstances. I shared some of my childhood in the intro video. I grew up with a father who went to prison, was an alcoholic, would leave me at, remember, he left me at baseball practice, forgot to pick me up one day, left me stranded at the library. I had to run home in the rain as a 10-year-old boy. I had things like that happen that affected my belief system about my self-worth. He committed suicide when I was 13 years old. And I felt like, wow, if my father really loved me, then he wouldn't have abandoned me like that. And so, I had a kind of a warped belief system about myself. I was in school, I was the kid who finished in the half of the class that made the top half possible, not the sharpest tool in the shed. And so I never believed that I was a very smart person. And I also never had a lot of friends. That was an experience that I had growing up. I was never Mr. Popular. I never had many friends at all. I was always shy. I felt like a very awkward communicator. And so based on those experiences, that shaped my belief system and made me, really not think that I was capable of creating huge results in network marketing. Now, the other way that you're you're programmed is through external influences. So your friends, your family members, maybe your culture. You're programmed through the media. The media will strike fear in you that it's not safe to go out. It's not safe to talk to other people. Religion, education. There's so many different external forces that shape who you are. Things that your parents said about you or family members said about you growing up. Maybe it's things that, your mom or dad said you were shy. And so, you took that on to be true. And I'm going to give you just a story about an experience. And, for me, and going back a little bit, I had an experience of failing in business. I started a marketing company online, ended up having a lot of success, and long story short, ended up $100,000 in debt. I ended up having to lay off one of my really good friends, and not a real fun experience. And I remember that day just looking at myself and feeling like a total failure. And I had to choose at that moment. Luckily, I had understood how the belief systems work at this point, and I said, I've got to consciously choose what I'm going to believe about this experience. And I said, I can choose to believe I'm a bad business person, and I can not really reach for the kind of lifestyle and the goals that I really want, or I can just choose to believe that this will make me a better business person. And I said, you know what, I've got to choose the latter. And I said, this is going to make me better because I know what not to do. And, getting back to external, to tell you a quick story about how something external programming affected me. I was in 6th grade in school, and, in athletics class, we had to run this 1-mile race, and it was 6 laps around this track. And I ran, I was, in the race, and about 100 kids. After the 3rd lap, I was in maybe 10th or 11th place. I was towards the front of the pack, and I was kind of excited because I was never a super athlete growing up, nothing like that. And I just, I remember thinking to myself, like, all right, I'm going to see if I can win the race. And so I decided for the next 3 laps, I was going to run as hard as I possibly could. And so I gave it my all. I mean, I just ran as hard as I could. And what happened was I ended up finishing in 2nd place. Now, 2nd place out of 100 kids, when I had never been a great athlete before, I was super excited. And the one, kid that beat me, he was like the superstar athlete. And so I remember being so proud of myself, so excited. And I came home after school that day, and I went and told my mom. I said, Mom, we ran a 1-mile race, and out of 100 kids, I finished 2nd. The only kid who beat me was Johnny, and Johnny's like the best athlete in school. And my mom, being a loving mom, she put her arms around me and she said, oh, sweetie, I'm so proud of you. That's amazing, because our family, we're just not good runners at all. And then it just immediately, I took that on to be true. And I was like, I'm not a good runner. And now I remember thinking as an impressionable young boy, I wonder why. And I remember thinking, I wonder if it's like our knees, or I wonder if it's just our muscles. I didn't know why I wasn't a good runner, but Mom told me our family are not good runners at all. And so guess how many races I tried to win after that? I didn't even try. I didn't even try to win another race because I believed that I was not a good runner. Now, the experience proved that I was. Based on experience, I was a good runner, but based on an external force programming me, I believe that I wasn't. And so you have to be amazingly mindful of external programming in your life. And, the law of association is so true. If you take your 5 best friends and you average the amount of money that they have in their bank account, that is almost to the dollar how much you have in your bank account. You are who you hang around with. My friend and mentor, Les Brown, he says it best. He said, if you hang around with 9 broke friends, guess what? You're the 10th. So you have to be mindful. And if you've got external forces that are negatively programming you, that are saying negative things, then listen to me when I say this. You deserve to be treated the way that you allow yourself to be treated. I'm going to say it again. You deserve to be treated the way that you allow yourself to be treated. If you're allowing someone to speak negative about you, you deserve to have that happen. And so you have got to have a backbone. Don't have a wishbone where a backbone ought to be. You've got to stand up for yourself, and you've got to correct people. I had someone in my life one time when I told them about my goal of going out and being a millionaire, and I was going to produce this big organization, and this person laughed like I was just the most ridiculously stupid person in the world. Now, I got mad, and maybe it's a little bit of that personality coming out, but I remember I had to tell that person, I said, listen, if I love you, but don't ever say something like that about me again, because he laughed and he basically alluded to the fact that that would never happen. And so I just had to tell him not to ever say something like that again about me, and guess what? He didn't. So he respected me from that point on because I respected myself. And there are times when you may have to have a season of separation. There may be, people in your life who you love and care about. And I've got people in my life that I love and care about, but I just don't spend that much time with them because I can't afford to have negative negative forces externally programming me, because I know the law of association is true. And sometimes that external programming, it may be someone as close to you as your spouse. And there may be, times when you've got to stand up for yourself and you have to just say to them, listen, I love you with all my heart. And I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm not asking you to build this business with me, but what I am asking you to do is respect me. What I am asking you to do is not speak negative to me. I married you because I want a partner who's going to support me in going after my goals and my dreams. Can I count on you for that? And see, if you don't have those crucial conversations, they will just not respect you until you stand up for yourself and respect yourself. Now, the third way that you're programmed, and this is by far the most powerful way that you're programmed, it's your internal programming. It's what you say and what you think about yourself. And the way the mind works, it almost works like a computer. Every keystroke on your computer gets registered in a registry. And it's the same thing. Every thought, everything that you say gets registered into your mind. And now, I'm not going to go through the depths of this right now. I could create a whole another course on, programming of the mind, but you've got your conscious mind and you've got your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is infinitely more powerful than your conscious mind. And your subconscious mind, think of that as your identity. Your identity, it's who you are, or better stated, it's who you really what you really believe you deserve to have. And, the way that my programming, the way it worked, what I really believed about myself was that I was a hard worker. That was a good thing. I believed I was a hard worker, but I was also not the sharpest tool in the shed. I felt like I was too young to do network marketing. And, I was broke. I was a bad communicator, and I was shy. I had all of these things that I was constantly professing to myself, that I was thinking about myself, and a lot of times saying to myself. And, I would say things like, gosh, why am I so broke? And listen, what I learned is the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. So every time I ask myself, why am I so broke? Or why am I such an idiot? Then your subconscious mind has to come up with an answer. And that's not an answer that you want to have. That's not a question that you want to create an answer for. And so here's the thing. Your subconscious does not understand the difference between a truth and a lie. It simply acts upon the programming given to it to carry out actions and results based on the identity that the subconscious creates. And so realize you are a sum total of what you have said and thought about yourself over all of the years. And because I grew up always being poor, I grew up with, a mom working 2 and 3 jobs to work her way through college and work her way through law school. And, my mom is a huge inspiration for me because by the time I got to high school, she actually got her law degree. She became an attorney. She's actually a judge today. And so she's a huge inspiration for me. And here's what happened is when she became an attorney and I was in high school, she still had to work a part-time job selling cosmetics in the mall, even though she was an attorney, because she got a job as basically an entry-level attorney and wasn't making a great income. She wanted to live in a nice neighborhood so she could send me to a good school. And so my programming was no matter how hard you work, no matter what you go through, money is hard to come by. Now, there's no real truth to that other than that's what I experienced and that's what I took on to be true. And so that's what I was always saying to myself, gosh, I'm so broke. And every time I said, gosh, I'm so broke, it became even more of my identity. So even though I didn't want those results, I was actually forcing myself to be broke because of what I was saying about myself. So we're literally hung by the tongue. And so what you have to do is you have to discipline your thoughts and your words. And this is an ongoing process. I have understood this for, well over 10 years, around 15 years. I've really understood this, and I still today have to catch myself. And, I still today have to, when I say something or think something disempowering, then I have to change that and say, wow, that's not like me at all. Normally I am XYZ, something positive. So you have to stop saying I'm so broke, and you have to start telling yourself I'm so wealthy. Now, it's kind of like fake it till you make it. I don't believe at all in fake it till you make it, as in telling other people you're having more success than you are. I'm never lie, never say anything like that. You don't fake it till you make it with other people, but you fake it till you make it with yourself. And, the science of the mind says that the subconscious does not understand the difference between a truth and a lie. So what I'm saying essentially is lie to yourself about who you want to become. And so here's the thing. I told myself I was a multimillionaire thousands and thousands of times before I ever had the results. And so instead of saying I'm broke, you start saying I'm wealthy. Instead of saying, why am I such an idiot? You say, why am I such a genius? And you just correct yourself on the spot. Now, it was hard for me because I was so conditioned to do that. I did it over and over and over. So you have to be mindful of that. You've got to be disciplined about what you say and what you think about yourself. And so let's carry on. Beliefs. The key to momentum in network marketing is all about belief. It's belief in network marketing. It's belief in your company. It's belief in yourself. It's even belief about other people. It's belief about the world. It's a belief about a lot of other things. And, what you have to always be mindful of is if you believe that network marketing doesn't work, it's never going to work for you. If you believe that, your company doesn't have good recruiting tools, they're never going to work for you. If you don't believe that you're a powerful leader, you will never become one. And so again, but everything, in your success, your momentum is always going to come from belief. And so you've got to be, again, conscious to your constant programming. Next is your beliefs about yourself. And, Brian Tracy's quote, never say anything about yourself that you don't want to become true. Why did he say that? He said that because everything you say about yourself makes it more true. And, it's what do you believe about other people? Now, do you believe people are naturally lazy? Or do you believe people are naturally ambitious in their hearts? See, I believe people are naturally ambitious at their hearts, and because I've programmed myself to believe that, then that manifests itself. I have a lot more people that come around me who are very motivated and ambitious because that's what I believe about other people. If you are just always saying, well, people are so lazy, then that's what's going to manifest in your life. Now, I've built businesses all over the world, in every country just about that I've ever done business in. I've spoken to audiences in about 25 to 30 countries around the world, and people are always pulling me aside and they're saying, Matt, you don't understand people in Singapore. You don't understand people in Malaysia. They don't like network marketing. You don't understand people in South Africa. They don't have a strong work ethic. You don't understand people in Barbados. They think network marketing is a scam. And here's the bottom line is people are people. I don't care where you are in the world. I've had massive momentum in the worst economy in the world. I've had massive momentum in one of the best economies of the world. I've had it where I just couldn't get my business to take off in amazing economies and bad economies. And it just all boils down to the leadership. It all boils down to the people who, have the proper programming. And what do you believe about the world? Is the world an amazingly great place? Does everything happen for a reason? Yes, I personally believe everything happens for a reason. What's your belief about money? Is money hard to come by? And if you believe that, if you're thinking money is hard to come by, it's going to be hard to come by for you. And so what you've got to start telling yourself, even if it's not spoken, even if it's just your thought, you essentially lie to your subconscious and you start saying money flows to me easily. Money is always flowing to me. I manifest money at will. What's your belief about success? Are you destined for success? Are you born for success? And if you haven't been programmed that way, those are some of the affirmations that you want to start creating for yourself, is that I was born a champion. And now, because I really understand this, now with my children, I have an 18-month-old son, a 4-year-old daughter, and a 5-year-old daughter, and I'm aware of that external programming. And so what I'm always telling them, if I ask them, what does it mean to be a Morris? They say it means I'm a champion. I'm programming them early on to have those, positive beliefs about themselves, positive beliefs about their family. And, what do you believe about network marketing? That is a killer. If you've got a negative belief about network marketing, that's going to lead to negative results. Now, in another module, I'm going to cover network marketing, and I'm going to give you a rock solid belief on network marketing. And it's a lot of information that I don't care if you've been in network marketing for 10 years, you are going to want to have this information because you're going to want to be armed to train your people on it and prospects when they have negatives. And so here's the 3-step process to change. Number 1, it's awareness of what your belief system is. And, you have to look at yourself. And if you don't understand yourself, how can you expect to understand other people? You got to know yourself before you can really know other people. So you got to have awareness. And so once you're aware of the negative beliefs that you've been having and the negative thoughts and the negative statements that have been coming out of your mind and your mouth, step number 2 to change, it's understanding that the negative belief is nothing more than a lie. See, if you look at the middle 3 letters of belief, it's L-I-E. Beliefs are nothing more than lies we made up. Now, I'm not saying to any of the positive things or religious beliefs that you have, I'm not saying to discard those. I'm saying if it empowers you, you take those beliefs in. You accept them as reality. You accept them as truths. But the negative beliefs, the I'm not smart enough, I'm too shy, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm the wrong color, I'm the wrong religion, I'm not a people person, I'm not charismatic, I'm not a salesperson. That's all a lie that you've made up based on experiences that you've had, based on external programming, based on internal programming. It is a lie. We just make it up based on those things. And so once you realize that the negative beliefs that you've had about yourself are not true, it's just something that you've made up. You just created out of thin air. See, nothing has meaning until we give it meaning. Then you can go to step number 3 and you can replace the negative with positive. Now, if you failed in network marketing for 5 years, get excited, because what that means is that you are an amazing network marketer because you know what not to do. You got 5 years of building a foundation. You got a really deep foundation. You are ready to take off. So instead of saying, I'm so broke, you start saying, I'm so wealthy. And it will be weird for you. It was weird for me. Lying to myself, lying to my own subconscious. I consider myself to be a super honest, ethical person who tells the truth. It's one of, it's like a family value of ours is to always tell the truth. And so, when I'm saying I'm a multimillionaire to myself, it was just incongruent. But what I had to do was realize if I wanted to change my belief system about myself, if I wanted to change my identity, which is going to manifest itself in my results, I had to replace the negative with a positive. Again, I told myself I was a millionaire thousands of times before I ever had the results. And so once you get your beliefs right, then that leads to feelings. That leads to the motivation. And see, motivation exists when there's a difference between the results you're experiencing and the results you truly believe you should be experiencing based on your identity. See, there's this law of consistency and commitment. And the law of consistency and commitment says that you will be amazingly committed and consistent to creating the results that you believe you deserve to have. And so, that's motivation. So if you're making $50,000 a year, but you genuinely, in your heart, you really believe your identity is that of someone who earns $100,000 a year, you're going to be naturally motivated to get to $100,000 a year. Now, you can also have negative motivation, and this happens with people who, they end up having some success in network marketing. They get to $100,000 a year, but they didn't work on themselves. They didn't work on their belief system. They didn't change their identity. And so they're making $100,000 a year, and they end up sabotaging themselves, and they end up getting back to the $50,000 a year at their job because they didn't see themselves as an entrepreneur. They didn't see themselves as a leader of other people. And so what are the feelings that you want to have happen? Number one, motivation always comes from your belief. You got to get yourself to believe you are the person who deserves to become a millionaire. That is who you are. Natural motivation kicks in. Those feelings kick in. Now, you also program yourself with the feelings that you want to have. And so here are some that I have for myself. Number one is having fun. I'm always having fun. Why am I always having fun? Because I'm telling myself I'm always having fun. I say that all the time. And so while a lot of people might be miserable in one experience, I smile. I'm having a blast because I'm programming myself to have a blast. You want to program yourself that you are committed. You want to program yourself that you have a sense of urgency when it comes to building this business. You want to program yourself that you are a happy person. Program yourself that you're excited, that you're positive, that you have a massive desire to win. And that's something that I'll just say all the time. I'll just say I am overflowing with desire. I've got so much desire. I just can't stand not to produce at a high level. And guess why I typically produce at a high level? It's because I'm always telling myself I have a huge desire to do that. Tell yourself you're motivated. And here's one, that you love every minute of it. It's funny, when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, this is something that, it's a programming piece that has been important for me because there's been times where I have not loved every minute of it, and times where I've had to lie to myself. I've been in not great situations, but I've had to just tell myself, program myself, say this out loud, think it as I'm loving every minute of it. And when I went to climb Kilimanjaro, I said, I'm going to put this to a test, and I'm going to just tell myself, whenever I know there's going to be struggle, I know it's going to be hard, whenever I'm having struggles, I'm going to tell myself I am loving every minute of it. And what is fascinating, this helped me get through it. Ended up with altitude sickness, and if you've ever had altitude sickness, it is not any fun. It is, you feel totally lethargic, no energy at all. Every step is painful. You are nauseous, you're throwing up, you have a splitting headache. It feels like your brain is, splitting out of your skull. Your motivation, kicks off. I mean, it's just not a lot of fun. And so I got altitude sickness the day before the summit. And I was feeling pretty miserable. And then, you know what? I caught myself feeling miserable. And in the midst of feeling miserable, I said, I'm going to program myself. And I said, I'm loving every minute of this. I love this. And, it didn't necessarily get rid of the headache, but it made dealing with the headache a lot easier. It didn't get rid of the nausea, but it made dealing with the nausea a lot better. And so one of the other things here is having gratitude. And feeling gratitude when you have negative things happen. And when I had altitude sickness, I said, number one, I'm going to love every minute of it. I'm going to cherish this experience because I believe that everything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I believe that pain is weakness leaving the body. Now, is there any truth to that? No, I just made it up. It's a belief system that empowers me. It makes me stronger. And so I choose to believe that what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. No truth to it. I just choose to believe it. Why? Because I can. And so I thank God. Said, God, thank you for giving me altitude sickness, because I know victory would not be as sweet if I didn't have to go through this. God, thank you for this. And you know what? I woke up the next day and summited the mountain, made it to the top. And, now I'm grateful for the altitude sickness. I'm grateful for that experience. And, another one is just feeling confident. I think one of the key pieces of having huge success, being able to recruit, being able to attract other people to you, is being confident. Now, how do you be confident? Well, number one, tell yourself you're confident. You are going to be confident to the degree that you tell yourself you're confident. You know how to be confident? You act confident. You know how to be happy? You act happy. See, I smile. People always comment that I smile all the time. They're like, Matt, you're on stage, and even when you're speaking, you're smiling. You just always smile. And people are asking me, how do you do that? And I said, well, it's simple. I just decide to smile all the time because it makes me happy. I feel happy when I smile. I don't smile because I'm happy. I'm happy because I smile. As I'm, climbing up Kilimanjaro, for instance. Again, there were times where I was feeling really tired, really lethargic, and it would be easy to lower my head and be like, oh, this is miserable. But what I did instead is I smiled. I just consciously made myself smile, and that made me feel happier. That made me feel better about the process. Now, the next thing is activity. Feelings lead to activities. And so, again, the simple daily disciplines. It's committing yourself that you're going to make 2-3 calls a day every day, that you're going to do some type of action every day that's going to move you forward in business. And there's been times in my career where, I wasn't blitzing, I wasn't all in, but every day I was doing something towards my success that would make me a better person, that would advance my income, that would advance my wealth, that would advance my lifestyle. And then the next one is the law of compressed activity. And I'm going to talk more about the law of compressed activity later. But the law of compressed activity says that the effort that you put in a compressed amount of time is going to pay you way more money than the same amount of effort put in over an extended period of time. So, as an example, if you're going to enroll 30 people, if you enroll 30 people in 1 month, that's going to earn you way, 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 way more money than you enrolling 30 people over the course of a year. If you carry out your income over 5 years, you're going to earn way more money doing that in a 30-day time frame because of the law of compressed activity, because you set the bar for your team. And again, we'll talk more about that later. But what you lack in skill, you make up for in numbers. And I remember when I really got committed to network marketing, and I decided I was going to be a professional, and then I was going to work as hard as it took, my level of skill was not real high. And my mentor, my sponsor in this company, he was on a scale of 1 to 10. I believed he was a 10. I mean, it's still to this day, Wayne Nugent, my mentor, is just an unbelievable network marketer. He is as good as anyone I've ever met before. And I said, I want to make as much money as him. And I was a little bit intimidated because he was so good. He was a 10 and I was a 4, maybe not even a 4, maybe like a 3 or 3.5. And what you lack in skill, you make up for in numbers. Jim Rohn, in one of his CDs, he said, if someone else on a scale of 1 to 10, if they're 10 times better than you, you still win. How? You work 10 times harder. And so I knew if I was a 4 on that scale, if I worked 3 times as hard as he did, I could make as much money as him. And here's what happens is, when you go through massive levels of activity, you end up getting really good. And the number one way to really improve your skill is actually going out and using it. It's applying the information. See, you can go through this course and still make no money. You got to go out and apply it. See, if you take what you learn from me over the next 7 weeks, and then you go out and you massively apply what you learn from me, you will develop mastery. You're going to be so good, it is ridiculous. There's going to be, people in your upline going, oh my gosh, how did you get to be so good? You've got to go out and do it. See, there's an art and science to success in network marketing, and the science is easy. The science is the how-tos. The science is all the stuff that I'm giving you throughout this 7 7-week program. But the art can only be learned by going out and doing it. See, there's different closes. I'm going to give you a bunch of different ways to close people, different ways to overcome objections. And it's kind of like, well, how do I know which one to use? You do that through the art. It's Vince Lombardi, one of the greatest coaches of all time. Someone asked him, what's your key to being, this great coach? And he says, it's knowing who to pat on the back and knowing who to kick in the ass. And they said, well, how do you know who to pat on the back and who to kick in the ass? And he said, well, I kicked the ones that needed to be patted, and I patted the ones who needed to be kicked long enough to learn the difference. And so that's going to be true with you. You got to go out and learn the art. And once you learn the art, combine that with the science, you are unstoppable. Now, another thing about activity is we talked about how your feelings produce the activity. Well, the activity also produces the feelings. It's a reciprocal nature. And see, what happens is if you don't feel like going out and making the calls, what will happen if you will just go out and make some calls, you're going to feel more motivated. The first call is the hardest one to make. After the second call, it's a little easier. The third call is a little easier. By 10, 20 calls, you're in a much more motivated state. And one of the reasons why I typically stay motivated is because I always stay into action. See, an object at rest tends to stay at rest. An object at rest doesn't create a whole lot of motivation. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object in motion tends to create more motivation. And so the activity also feeds those positive feelings. Now, we're going to go through, as far as the activity, there's not that much that you actually have to go do. It's not rocket science, what we do in network marketing. We go out and we find prospects, through your warm market, through your cold market. So it's finding prospects, finding leads. Number 2 is inviting people to see your presentation, to see your product. Number 3 is presenting. Number 4 is following up and closing. Number 6 is getting people started. And then number 6 is promoting events. And, promoting events and, training basically. And so, there's not a whole lot. It's those activities. And what we're going to do in this 7-week course is I'm going to dig deep into each of these. You're going to want to take a ton of notes. Now, remember this quote. You can use this, is the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. So if you go through this information and you're like, oh, that's really good, I'll remember it, chances are you will not. And so, you want to write that down. Write down, right now, write down the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. Why? Because when you're a trainer, that's something that you're going to want to say. It's a one-liner. It's a quote that you're going to want to use. And you're going to have so many quotes and so many one-liners through this that, it's all about getting little insights that sink in, that, drop into people's mind that they remember. And I'm going to give you a lot of those over the next 7 weeks. Now, the next thing is results. Now, as it leads to results, here's a few keys. If your programming isn't right, you're not going to keep the results. If you haven't programmed yourself to become the person who really deserves to be successful, and that's your identity, you're going to fall backwards. You're going to figure out how to self-sabotage yourself. It works this way with weight loss. I've been able to, I talk about this in my book, The Unemployed Millionaire, and I had someone that came up to me in an event and they told me they lost 30 pounds and they were just so thankful because they had tried every diet in the world and they would always lose weight and gain it back, lose weight and gain it back. The diets never worked. And what I talked about in my book and what I'm talking about here is that it's all about your identity. If you've been overweight for years and years and years, that's who you are. You're an overweight person. You've got to change your thinking. You've got to start saying to yourself, and you got to start thinking about yourself as being sexy, as having the body that you desire. You got to change your programming. Otherwise, the diet will never work. And she had lost 30 pounds, and she was just so elated because it was like finally she had the key. And so that's going to be the key for you. It's all about the inner game. Now, if you're not consistently growing yourself through personal development, you will fail. Now, I say that with a lot of certainty because over the last 20 years in network marketing, I have seen so many people achieve a certain level of success and then fall backwards because they were not growing themselves as a person. Now, there's no other profession, no other industry in the world that I know of that requires you to really master human communications, that really requires you to become a greater person. It's what I love about this profession, is the only way for you to go out and become a millionaire is you got to become a really powerful individual. And so you've got to consistently grow yourself. And again, you read 3 books and it's not like you're a changed person. 3 books. People are always asking me, Matt, what's the key book? What's the number 1 book I need to read? They want the silver bullet. There's no one book. There's no silver bullet. You've got to consistently do that over time. And otherwise, you'll end up falling backwards. And then finally here, you want to discipline your disappointments. You're going to have your ups and downs, and I have my downs just like everyone. I'm actively building in my organization. And, recently on, part of my business, I started a brand new team, and I built it up to a little over 400 people. And I was so, really motivated. I'm driving it, I'm building it, and it ended up having some fallout and had over 100 people fell out from that group of 400. Now, years ago, that would have crushed me. It could have possibly been the valley of death for me. But because I just understand that it's cyclical, you're going to have your ups and your downs. You got to go through the peaks and the valleys. Mentally, I was fine with it. I not that I loved it, but I knew it was part of the game. So you got to discipline your disappointments. And, as Tony Robbins says, you always succeed in producing a result. So even if you go through a certain level of failure, you've just figured out what not to do. You've become stronger for it. You've dug your foundation a little bit deeper. And then the results lead to the lifestyle. And you know what? It may be a little bit hard. Network marketing is not an easy profession, and I'm grateful that it's not easy. See, if network marketing were easy, companies would have no incentive to pay us a fortune to go out and build large organizations. If it were easy, they could pay us just a little bit, and there would be no opportunity. It's kind of like having a job. See, having a job is not that hard. Going in and doing whatever you do. It's not that hard. You don't have to break out of your comfort zone. You don't have to grow as a person in order to keep getting a paycheck, but there's also no opportunity to become a millionaire. See, I am grateful that it's challenging. I love the fact that it's challenging. I'm so grateful that not everyone joins. I'm excited when people don't join. If everyone joined network marketing, number 1, there'd be no financial opportunity to make millions. And number 2, we wouldn't have anyone to go, build houses. We wouldn't have anyone to build cars, to mow our lawns, to service our food, to, all of those things. We've got to have that. It's just part of the game. And so stop saying you don't like that network marketing is hard. Be grateful that it's hard. And see, you're going to have to get good at it. And as my mentor told me when I first started working with him, he said, you're going to have to get good at this. But if you're going to have to get good at something anyway. So if you're going to have to get good at something, get good at something worth getting good at. In network marketing, the career that you can create is just unreal. Being able to have the freedom to travel around the world, to have, 6 to multiple 6 to 7 figure per year income come in, whether you get out of bed or not, is amazing. It's an amazing level of freedom. The lives that you will touch will end up becoming one of your greatest joys. And I'll tell you, one of my highlights of my career was at one of our events, actually a couple years ago. Had a young girl on my team. She got started at 19, and within about a 2-3 year time frame, she got to the point where she was earning a 6-figure income. And as she was on stage accepting her award with tears streaming down her face, she said, I didn't know something like this was available to someone like me. If I hadn't gone out and enrolled the person who enrolled the person who enrolled the person who enrolled her, she would still be living that average life. She was working in retail at a retail store in New York. Never done anything in business, never done anything in sales, but she had a huge desire and a huge work ethic. And the fact that it wasn't me, she did it on her own, but the fact that I had an influence on her life and the lives of literally now hundreds and hundreds of people are all over the world, thousands of people all over the world now, is incredibly fulfilling. I just believe that fulfillment doesn't come from what you get, it comes from what you give. And there is so few other opportunities to give like you can in network marketing. The people that you're going to meet, my best friends in the world now are, part of the network marketing profession. And I just love being able to have friends that if I want to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, I can just go call a bunch of my buddies that have the time and they have the money. If I want to go, we rented out recently an 18,000 square foot villa in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. 18,000 square feet. We had a staff of 8. I mean, it was unreal. 4 stories, right on the beach, infinity pool. Waiting on us hand and foot. And, I just went out and called a bunch of friends and said, hey, come meet us. It's going to be this much money. We'll spend a week together. And we just had the time of our lives. The places that you will get to see, if I look at my bucket list and I look at the 65 countries that I've been around the world, and I think about cruising down the Nile River, and I think about being at the top of the Eiffel Tower, and just all seeing the Sydney Harbor Bridge, the Sydney Harbor, the Opera House. I mean, I've just seen the most amazing places. And most of all, it's the person that you're going to become. Making $1 million, driving a Ferrari, having a big home, in my opinion, that's an empty calorie goal. Those aren't the things that I'm most proud of. What I'm proud of is the person that I had to become in order to earn that Ferrari, the person I had to become in order to buy the house, the person I had to become in order to be able to send my kids to the best schools money can buy. And so, friends, it may be hard, but it is so worth it. It is worth going through everything that you have to go through to achieve success. And so we're going to break here, and when we come to the next module, have your pen ready, and there's going to be an opportunity to take some notes, and we'll have a powerful exercise for you. We'll see you on the next module.